Just getting situated, y'all. Oh man, did you guys really think I wasn't gonna show up? I know I didn't start on time today. Sorry, my apologies on that. Let's just say today's a long day, honestly. So I'm just getting myself situated. Let me make sure I'm good and my mic sounds phenomenal because I would hate to get started and you can't even hear me. So let's do a mic check real quick. How do we sound? How are we sounding? Good, bad, good, bad. Feedback. Lovely. So let's go ahead and kick this thing off the road. First and foremost, as you guys can see, I'm pretty dressed up, and that was because I met with some of, and this is really going to pertain towards everyone that's looking in Raleigh, or at least the Wake County, not even just Wake County, but really anybody that's looking in that area specifically, right? Anything that surrounds Wake County. Because I met with some government officials today. I believe it was mainly the House of Representatives that we met with, just to discuss some of the issues and things that we're seeing on the ground and what type of bills and policies are they working on to try to put in place. And let's just sum it all up because it was a lot. There was a lot of conversations about ADUs, right? A lot of conversations about ADUs because there's a lot of restrictions that aren't currently being, I guess, favorable right now. So a lot of people aren't able to do ADUs, but of course, everyone needs a space. Some individuals may even not necessarily, I would say, want to. Of course, if your parent or your parents or whoever, your family relative is getting older of age, you want to move them in, but maybe you don't want them inside your home. So of course, instead of finding them a whole new home, you put them in an ADU. So that would be the primary use of it. There wasn't a lot of there's a lot of restrictions towards it. Let's just put it like that. And then another conversation was there aren't enough individuals who are willing to contribute towards what's it called, the infrastructure, right? So they're looking for individuals, investors. So if you're an investor, you actually have some tax dollar, well, you have dollars in general, and you need to park it somewhere. I would encourage you and implore you to really reach out to me so we can really see if there's something that we can do to get you connected to those government officials to help you see if there's something that you can spark up there essentially because there isn't enough money going towards the infrastructure. Let's just say, and I mean Raleigh is literally growing consistently, so it's going to be one of those things where if money doesn't flow to it, the infrastructure is going to be a disaster. But just kind of want to give that for those that are actually interested in the Raleigh market, kind of give you a little bit insight that what I've experienced. Of course, there was a lot more conversations, but those were really the big things that I heard, and kind of just the repetition of the things that were constantly in conversation on a regular basis. But I don't know what you mean. That might just be you, buddy. Uh, but let's go ahead and discuss what we're gonna talk about today, which is, of course, as you guys know, we're going to break down Florida's proposal property taxes. We're also going to talk about what was done on the FHFA and who the HUD made changes to kind of how the whole landscape of loans are going to be given out. And this is right here going to affect first time home buyers, borrowers in general. Like this is not going to really be specific to anybody, right? If you're looking to get a loan, this literally directly applies to you. So you're going to want to stick around and hear about that. And then we're talking about possible NAR, National Association of Realtors. They made another change to what's going on with the MLS. So hear that because I mean nowadays, when the more and more changes that go on in real estate, it's like who does it really favor, right? That's why I want to really bring it up. And if I'm bringing it up, that means it may not favor you just at this quiet moment, just a kind of twit bit. But Also, let's reflect on what's been going on in this past couple weeks. 'Cause I hope you guys aren't freaking out. But stock market has been going nuts. If you guys do have money in there, or at least considering putting your money in the market, I'm not going to talk too much about this, just because I'm sure you guys all know. I just don't want you guys to freak out. All right. It's really causing the freak outs because tariffs. Everything is a big question mark. But let's speak about tariffs, because tariffs does apply to the housing market directly. I've talked about this in, I think, my very first stream. And when I talked about tariffs in my very first stream, it was kind of just a proposal. It was just conversation. Now we're in a space where it's a real thing. So the one thing I would say with tariffs is, I don't think the real estate market, or at least the real estate construction market, is going to be harmed in any sort of way or fashion. Maybe if it does, it's going to be like years down the line. And the reason why I say that is because tariffs actually, well, if you guys don't know, most of the lumber comes from Canada. I really wish I had like a something to show you how tariffs is actually distributed in terms of what country gets affected by what, by doing what. I saw it before, but I just don't have that to really share with you. But given that most of our lumber comes from Canada, Canada was not on that list of, I guess, that list of that. I don't know if you guys saw it. Man, I could pull it up. Actually, I probably should. The list of countries that were getting tariff, right? So let's see if I can find it real quick. So that's a good thing. The fact that damn, I'm trying to lose my thought here because I'm trying to do two things at once. Let's see. The fact that Canada wasn't on that list, it's good because, of course, if there's no tariffs there, then you have really nothing to worry about. If Canada was on that list, then I would be a little bit more concerned. That's not the case. I would say tariffs for now, right? Everything is a big question. As we think. So this is my opportunity, not your last chance, but this is a chance for you to put yourself ahead. Sorry if you lost me. Doo-doo-doo. Here we go. Just one thing I realized about this live stream and stuff. I cannot do multiple things at once. So this list is what the list I was talking about. I mean, you can go on X and go look at it, and if you really want to do a deep dive into it, but two countries are not on it. It's Canada and Mexico, but I really care more about Canada just because that's where a lot of our lumber comes from. And that's what we need, right? Construction wise, we need it. And especially new construction, right? Right now, there's not a lot of homes on the market. So this is really, really helpful. The fact that Canada is not on that list, because it allows the builders to continuously do what they have to do to provide those homes that everybody needs. However, let's go ahead and talk about what I saw. Well, we probably all saw, hopefully. If you're interested in the Florida market, the governor Ron DeSantis, is it DeSantis? DeSantis? I think DeSantis. Sorry, I had to go back and forth with myself on that. But he made a proposal, and I actually listened to him give, like, I guess, a press conference on it about what exactly he's referring to. But he's trying to do property taxes. Like, he's trying to give a break for property taxes, given everywhere in the country, right, over the past 5 years or so, has seen enormous gains in terms of home values, right? So everybody is freaking out. This is not just a Florida thing. This is literally a nationwide thing. Not the property taxes, but at least the home values and gains is a nationwide thing. So I think Governor DeSantis taking this initiative and taking this step forward and saying, "Hey, we're going to at least advocate, or at least fight for some sort of relief," is a really good thing, right? Let me know in the comments if you're in a place right now where you hear a lot of people screaming about property taxes, right? And I mean screaming in terms of, like, I don't like it. It's too much. I did not expect this, like, because I know a lot of people myself, right? When these reassessments occurred, because fun fact, in North Carolina, I want to say the entire state. I know at least in Wake County and some of the surrounding counties, right? They do it once every 8 years or so, right? Give or take. It's within that threshold that they have to do it. And so 8 years, we're talking like pre-COVID of people who were where they were last reassessed for property taxes. So a lot of people got their reassessments, and whew, did everyone hear it? I'm saying everybody. Like, I mean, yeah, let's just put it like that. So let me know in the comments if you're in that same sort of, not you specifically in that environment, but if that's kind of what's going on in your neighborhood. Let me know in the comments. And what area is it that's kind of going on fire when it comes to that? Because I'm curious to know if a lot of people are experiencing, well, probably will, but across that entire board. But overall, let's go ahead and I'll share my screen because let's go ahead and take a look. All right, you guys can read this. You can go to the website. In fact, I'll go ahead and put the website there for you because I kind of already read through it. I've listened to his press release to kind of prepare myself for this conversation here today, just to give you kind of some sort of update. This, to me personally, seems like what he's trying to do is prepare himself for, I guess, his reelection. I guess that's what it kind of sounded like to me, right? He's just preparing himself, so it'll be great to, I think, get something of this nature. We'll go ahead and see throughout this entire stream if this is something that's even feasible, right? Because again, every state has a way of making income. Florida, as far as I'm concerned, they don't have no state income, right? They only have sales tax, property taxes, and there's probably one more: sales tax, property tax, and what else am I missing? There's one more that they make money, right? Every state is going to have their own way of how they bring in income. And so essentially what he was stating the entire press conference, at least that I listened to, is they want to go after, they want to remove at least property taxes for the Floridians that are already there. But the key thing is it didn't necessarily sound like he wanted to remove it entirely. That's where I was at. That's why I want you to really chime in and listen in on, because it sounded more like he wants to give some sort of relief to those who already are receiving some sort of homestead exemption, right? So if you're receiving something already, which that homestead exemption, I don't necessarily know what exactly it entitles. You definitely, if you're looking in that Florida market, you definitely have to look at that a little bit more, because then that will be a little bit helpful. I provided the link in the chat, so you can go ahead and take a look at it if you really want to, especially if you're on the replay, you want to kind of read it for yourself. But again, this is more of a homestead exemptions. This is not going to, if you're an investor, this is not going to fulfill you. I don't apologize. This is just what this is just what it is. And so he's just trying to push this forward to help those individuals, right, that are experiencing, because it does seem like a lot of the individuals who are experiencing, I shouldn't say that are experiencing it, but from what I kind of took from that press conference, are the individuals that are on fixed income, right? So no one can really anticipate property taxes going up, especially years later. So my assumption is he's trying to help those individuals, and the key thing with it is, and I guess we'll really go into it, how he can actually make it happen. Because personally speaking, if you remove property taxes, again, property the taxes in general help with the roads, the schools, the buildings, upkeep, maintenance of all these things in that state, allowing the state to regulate, to have police, ambulance, hospitals, firefighters, all these things that we essentially really need. And you don't want to, in my personal opinion, you don't want to necessarily remove it entirely, because then what are you going to do years down the line if your funds start to diminish, right? What is Florida still going to be that desirable place? That's a big question mark that I personally would not want to see, because I mean, I'm not there, but it's just, you don't ever want to count somebody on their downfall. That's just kind of how I see it. But the whole property tax reform is, of course, coming from, as I mentioned, right, property taxes going up. Not property taxes, sorry, the values going up, but that is also going to lead to property taxes going up, because the values are assessed based off of the values being reassessed are a reflection of the property taxes going up, right? Because each place they're all going to have their own tax rate. So property taxes, if your value goes up, your property taxes is just going to trickle right along with it. And it's kind of just gonna do that whole that whole dance with it. Yeah, sure, you could say, and this is one of the things I hear. It's like property taxes should be removed entirely. Yeah, yeah, yeah. It's like, well, yeah, if you do it, but again, there's certain things that have to be funded throughout that state in order for that state to operate. Right? And that's just kind of where I'll leave it. How those funds are distributed, this is I think, and this is why I like what he said. Governor DeSantis, he mentioned how he wants to bring in Doge, right? The Department Efficiency of Government, whatever Elon called it, right? uh, Department, I don't remember. Department of Government Efficiency, I want to say it is. He wants to bring him in so that the citizens, like the Floridians, can see exactly where those monies are being allocated, which I think is really, really good to do something of that nature. Because if one state does it, that means every other state is going to literally chime in and start doing it too. And that's essentially what we need, right? We all need transparency to understand what's exactly going on with the tax dollars so that we know what to do and what not to do. But being that the property tax reform is being in place in Florida, because of course, like I mentioned, property taxes. I keep saying property taxes. Values going up, which then reflects property taxes. But a lot of people do feel like, hey, I just feel like I'm renting from the government, which I don't understand that concept though, because if you have a car, you still have to pay taxes on that too. Well, at least I do. I don't know about you guys, but I do. It's the same concept there. So I don't understand why people feel that way. If you feel that way and you want to voice your concern or whatever, let me know in the comments, honestly. Because I truly indeed want to understand, why do people feel like they are renting from the government to own their home? Like, even if you own your car outright, it's the same thing. You still have to pay the property, you still have to pay taxes on it. At least, again, like I said, I do. If you're in a place where you're not paying taxes on your car, let me know where you're at, because I don't know. We might have to reconsider our entire plan of longevity here. But this is, again, I think the property tax reform, all that is it's an extension of a re-election run, right? It's campaigning essentially, is what I'm trying to say. Although I do understand it, it's like this is not something that's going to take place now. He even mentioned it. He said this is more towards 2026. It can get done in 2025, right? So that'd be pretty nice. But uh, I mean, we're already a third through 2025, and this is now being pitched. So let's just say, and I'll show you in mix of all of this, right? You have the Florida market that is literally dealing with, right? As I mentioned, there was here we go. No, I want to make it bigger. There we go. So probably can't see this, but it says Florida lawmakers look to lower tax, look to lower lower state sales tax. Good lord, from 6 to 5.25%. We're gonna now talk about if this is actually possible to bring property taxes lower or even remove it entirely, at least specifically in Florida. Because if you lower your state sales tax, which again, when I listen to him speak specifically, he said he wants to raise sales tax because his goal was, all right, well, if we're going to remove it, the money has to come from somewhere. And they want necessarily that money to come from the tourists, the people who don't live in Florida. So let's do this here. This is a nice, cool chart I found. And this is how, as I mentioned, every state collects money. Right, so I think I mentioned income, I state tax, I said sales, and there was the property tax is another one. What I missed was corporate, and then of course other taxes, which I don't even know what that is. But let's look at Florida. Okay, I don't need to see that big thing. All right, so Florida, almost 40% in just property taxes. So you're telling me that, and this is just me talking at this point, you're telling me that removing 40% of your income is still going to be efficient to that state of Florida. I challenge that. Sure, it can, maybe you can lower it, or in sense maybe take the tax rate and do something with that. But you're bringing it to zero, personally speaking, I don't know if that's feasible. And hey, I'm more than happy to I would love to hear your perspective on it if you think this is feasible and what exactly can be done. Because where does that money, where does the difference come up in, right? Where do you make up the difference? Even if we look at sales tax, right? We're looking more like I guess that's 70, and that's 70%, right? And if you raise that up, cool. But that's not going to cover that 40%, that difference right there. And that's kind of why I want to show you this, because in Florida, if he's talking about it, Governor Santos, if he's talking about it and they're doing about 40%, just under 40%, we know for a fact Alaska is not going to do it. We know for a fact Maine isn't going to do it. We know for a fact. Well, we shouldn't say I know for a fact because I don't know anything, right? I'm just literally making speculations here. But we can make a nice guess. Uh-oh. Not right now. We can make a guess that Montana isn't going to do it. New Hampshire, wow. Holy moly. They're about like 60. They're in the 60s. Now, shout out to you in New Hampshire. You guys are paying some crazy taxes up there in terms of property taxes. You got New Jersey, which we already know. New Jersey, New York, Connecticut, all that stuff. They're already high. Pennsylvania, where is it? Yeah, they're all below here. We have New Jersey, that's pretty high. Rhode Island, Texas. But Texas is a good caveat because I don't think they have state. All right. So if we look individual income, Texas is like nowhere to be found, right? So, but Texas is a lot larger than Florida. And that's the same thing, right? So Florida doesn't have this pink, right? If you see anything with that pink, that means they're taking individual your income tax, right? Their state income tax. And then we got Texas, we have Vermont probably won't do it. Wyoming probably won't do it, right? And what's making me say that is because I'm looking just at that 40%. Anyone that's a little bit above that 40% probably won't touch it. If Florida's willing to, if Florida's willing to touch it and they're just under it, chances are people that are above it are gonna be like, nope, we need our money. So I think if I'm not mistaken, there was places like Kansas, Montana, North Dakota. Uh, those are places, right? So look, North Dakota. I said Kansas. Where are we at with the case? Okay, Kansas, Montana. I said Montana. I said North Dakota as well. There it is, North Dakota, Montana. But Montana is pretty high, right? So essentially, it's still New Mexico probably could definitely do it. The general learner, what's going on, my man? Sup, taxes, taxes, taxes. Can't escape it, literally, man. It's like, well, you can, I guess, if you know the tax code really, really well. Shout out to President Trump because I forgot what. If you can Google it, but there was at some point in time when everyone was going after his trying to, I guess, make him look like a bad guy or whatever the case may be, when they identified that he paid like literally no taxes after making millions of dollars, whatever it is. But there's a ways around it. I am for sure not a tax preparer or CPA, so you gotta definitely speak to somebody, a professional on that end, to really understand it. But you also, the general learner also said income tax, your tax when you make money, sales tax, your tax when you buy something, right? Well, but with property tax, you're taxed just for owning something repeatedly. But it's the same thing with a car, right? The only big difference is a house is worth way more than a car. And let's look at the other end of it all. A car, you can't, unless if you have a luxury vehicle, right? You can't necessarily sell it for more. Whereas a home, you have that luxury of doing that. of course, if you buy in a place where it's in high demand. That's why I say with cars, it's really luxury items that you can that luxury vehicle that you can necessarily sell for a greater price and not lose money. As I mean, I don't know if you know the general learner, but as soon as you drive your car out the lot, you're kind of already SOL. Right? You can't necessarily turn it around and try to sell it on the private market and get more for it. You're kind of stuck with it, to say the least. But no, I completely agree. I mean, even Governor DeSantis, he mentioned something, and I was like, "That's pretty cool. That's interesting, right?" And just like you said, right, sales tax. You buy a TV, you hang it up on the wall, and that's it. You paid your tax on it, and that's it. It would be phenomenal to see something of that, like that, to be taking place in real estate. But I'm not going to think about it right now. My brain capacity is not there to do such thing. But I encourage you. I challenge you, the general learner, do it. Let's see what comes up out of it. Because I know for sure I'm not going to do it. Maybe we could work on this together. I don't know. But yeah, like I mean, you said it best. You can't escape it. I think the best thing to do is understand what's going on with it. In fact, I learned not too long ago, a lot of places I think a lot of individuals will be surprised to hear that you there's a lot of exemptions already in place that we all can take advantage of. You just have to be knowledge. You're not even knowledgeable. You just have to know about it. I was with a family member not too long ago, and he was mentioning how just living in that specific county, they have exemptions. Yeah, sure, it's not exempting the entire amount of their property taxes, but it's going to reduce it a little bit. And I was like, wow, that's lucky. I mean, we don't have anything in North Carolina. I think if North Carolina, the only thing we have is you have to be 65, you have to be a senior, you have to be a veteran, and I believe you have to have some sort of disability. I want to say at the same time, right? So those are only three categories that I'm aware of that they give some sort of exemptions to. Everybody else is like, hey, figure it out. But I think including more of that, right? Just allowing, hey, maybe it is a couple thousand that you do reduce off of the assessed value every year or so. You know, I don't know. Right now, I do know that North Carolina doesn't reassess every year. So when they do reassess, oh my gosh, those jumps can be pretty scary, especially for those individuals that are not ready for something like that. But I encourage you, just attend your local meetings, right, with your governors or your state officials, right? Just attend those things to get a better sense of what's going on. Not only that, but advocate for what your country's. Ouch. But speaking of Florida, let's go ahead and take a look at how they're doing inventory wise. So here's how they look inventory wise. And the reason why I'm going to bring this up is because the next article that I'm going to talk about is literally talking about their condo crisis that they're going through right now, which a lot of people are. It seems like a lot of people are trying to get out of condos because of property taxes, HOAs, all that stuff have risen on them, and we can see it here, right, vividly. I mean, this is March of 2017, and it is well above it, right? We're talking 177,000 as of March of 25, in comparison to the lowest being 35,000 in March of 22. And then let's go back to March 17 with 2017, which is just under 143. Well, it was 143,000 homes that are being listed, essentially. That's what that's stating. This is what exactly it's stating. The general learner came back with I just learned about city property taxes and county. Yeah, that's a big one too. Never knew you could be taxed for both, like that if you own a home within both areas. Yeah, that's yeah. Unfortunately, that's one that you get shocked in. And so not it's only the big cities that do that, right? So let's just use if you have a specific city that you're looking at the general learner, let me know so we can maybe make that comparison and help you, or at least anybody. Honestly, it's not even just you that has to do it, but whoever's listening. If and I'm just gonna use Raleigh, right, for the time being. Raleigh is like that, right? So Raleigh, you'll go ahead and get taxed there, and you'll get taxed from the county, Wake County. But if you go to Gardner, you go to I don't know if Wake Forest is gonna. I don't think Wake Forest is gonna do it. You go to. I would be very shocked if Cary does it. Right. I don't know. I don't know. So I know for sure if you go outside of Raleigh city limits, essentially, that's what I'm trying to say here, then you just get hit with the county. You don't get necessarily hit with city and county. So that's just something. I guess when you're house searching, you're looking for a home. I guess it's best, and I encourage everyone, right? When you're speaking with the lender in general, you should always pose that question: is well, what are my taxes going to look like? Because the lender can essentially tell you, especially this is for everyone in the back. This is the time where I need you all to listen up here because if you are looking at new construction, you need to hear this loud and clear. I see these videos. I see people complain about new construction and property taxes being risen on them, and they were not ready for it, prepared. So I'm going to say it to you, and I hope you all listen to me loud and clear. Write it down. Do whatever you have to do. Put it in your pinned. I don't know, but remember, if you're looking at new construction, the property taxes that are currently being assessed is not the house and the land. It's just the land. So it's always going to be a lot lower. And this is for new construction. This literally applies for new construction only. If you want a good idea of what your property taxes are going to be, the best thing that you can do is look at all the other homes in the area. Whoever has a homeowner in it, right? Not vacant, not still for sale, not pending. We need homes that literally say private residence, like don't step on my lawn kind of situation. You want to find those homes and you then want to find out what those property taxes are. If you don't ask the lender, right? You can always ask your realtor as well, right? You can go to that extent and or who your real estate agent, whoever you're working with, and see if they can find out that information. Your lender should have it and should be able to write something up for you. But if you want to go behind everyone and just double check it, you can do that. Everyone, I can honestly look up anybody's property tax in the entire country. So you could do the same exact thing. This is not a real estate agent. It's not a realtor advantage. No, it's all there. You just have to get that source to be able to find this. If you're looking at new construction, I implore you do that before literally signing any dotted line, before getting yourself stuck into a situation where now you 1, 2, 3 years later you're finding yourself having to sell the home again. If I advocate home ownership in general, but I advocate it if you're going to stay in that home for at least 7 years, you're going to make it more way more worth it than just buying a home and 1, 2, 3 years later, having to sell it. At that point, you're probably gonna go to closing and have to dish out more money just to go ahead and get rid of it. And to put yourself in that situation, personally, doesn't make sense. I don't encourage it. Please just stay away from it. But we all saw what the inventory of Florida looked like, and that's partially because, of course, like I mentioned, right? So condos, I know condos are getting listed like crazy, and of course, people want to get out of Florida for several different reasons. It's not just taxes; it's just kind of what's going on climate wise. But I know at least for the condos, it's the HOAs and the property taxes. I mean, hey, that's Florida for you. That is Florida for you. Let me know if you guys have any questions about anything I just mentioned, even about maybe I can go and share on you didn't know about it because we're gonna go ahead and get ready to move on to what I have here with you. Yeah, we don't need to talk about that. Now we can go back to this at some point in time. But the next thing I have to talk to you about, if you are in the market right now and have an FHA loan, please, please, please listen up. If you know somebody that is looking for a home and has a FHA, please, please, please listen up. Share this segment with them because there's a lot of things that are changing right now with at least the FHA, and we'll talk about what the Federal Housing Finance Agency did as well. But if you have an FHA loan, I'll just go ahead and share my screen because I think this will make more sense. So we can all see the changes together. First and foremost, let me share my screen, of course. So if you have an FHA loan, let's just say this is a direct, not attack, but this is directly impacting those individuals who, right, have H-1B visa holders, refugees, asylum seekers, anyone that is essentially you're a non-permanent resident of the United States. Let's just put it like that. If you don't have any citizenship in the United States, you are directly impacted by this. So this is why I'm saying listen up here, because if you're currently shopping or you are trying to shop and you have an FHA loan right now and you don't have your citizenship or you're in the works of it, there's a very, very, very big possibility that you won't close on that home, unfortunately, right? Because of these changes here. And so this was made by HUD. Um, I'm not going to really go deep into it. I just want to let you know, like, hey, these are the changes. This is what's going on. Go speak to your lender if this is you, right? If you fall in this category, or if maybe you know somebody. That's what I'm saying. Share this with somebody, please, because the last thing I think anybody should go through is spending X amount of dollars to try to get a home, to then like a week or two later before closing find out they can't get that home, and you're not going to get your money back from inspections. If you have to make any sort of deposit and you're so deep into the process, you might, depending on of course what state and how their real estate laws and contracts are set up, you might or might not get that money back, right? So this is me just trying to share this with you to prevent you from losing any sort of money, honestly. The general learner came back with, I see so many people getting wrecked when they get their tax bill after a year of new construction home ownership. Yeah, literally. I know folks should do some of them. I know folks should do the research, but those builders, lenders do first time buyers. Yeah, yeah, yeah. They really do. It even came a point in time where builders weren't even like really trying to encourage buyers to have their own agent, right, to represent them, right? They were willing to do both sides, you know, which they can do their business how they want to do it, but it's like, you can't necessarily represent both sides like fully with your full intent because again, you have confidential information on both sides. So I encourage everyone, man, if you're looking at new construction, at least just either have the idea, just know that it will go up. And I think that's going to help a lot of individuals. It's just if you don't know, then when you get that bill, you're like, what the, literally, what is this? So I'd like to forewarn everybody. I like to over communicate intentionally because the more I can prepare you, the more you can walk into this real estate world, the world of unknown that no one teaches us anything about this stuff. You just have to literally walk through it. And what makes it worse is the fact that everyone's expected to walk through it, but most people buy a home every 10 years. You know how much is going to change in a 10-year span? Like it's no one's not your typical individual is not going to keep up with it. And so I just really advocate, man. If you have a question, just bring it to me. If you even maybe you want to go ahead and say, "Hey, Ronnie, I need help in a specific area." Just reach out to me, or you can click the link in the description, right, and fill out the form. And that way, you can go ahead. I can connect you to someone who is going to look out for you because that's what you really want. You want a real estate advisor that is going to look out for you. I literally had this conversation with a client not too long ago. We were going back and forth. I'm like, hey, I got your back regardless. I'm going to always work out for you. I'm always going to defend you. I'm always going to work to advocate for you and what it is that you're looking for. But if you don't have that and you don't have the knowledge, you literally just set yourself up for disaster. I wonder if I have a sound effect for that one because man, no, I don't. Because that right there it's you're asking for it at that point in time. But that's what's occurring with the FHA. So if you do know anybody with an FHA loan, that's Raven, I just got qualified for an FHA loan, and they may fit that qualification of not necessarily being a U.S. citizen, but please let them know this because now I want to share with you this one. Where is it? Where is it? Where is it? Give me 1 second. Uh, okay, but I thought I had it, but I don't. That's so weird. I thought I really did have it. Give me 1 second. I'll pull it up for you. But essentially, what I'm going to do is talk about the special credit. Is special purpose credit program. The reason why I'm bringing that up is because a lot of, and this is just really what's been signed. So I don't know why I'm even bothering to pull this up right now. Now that I really think about it, because this is not really sharing with you anything special. But I guess because I took so much time and effort to do that, might as well do it right. So you can go ahead and take a look at it, read it if you want. But essentially, what this is stating is there were special, as you can see, right, special purpose credit programs that the fine FHFA, the the Federal Housing Finance Agency. Jesus, I cannot talk today at all. What's going on? But what that is, the special purpose credit programs, those are programs that, like, whenever you go to a bank and you see that they're willing to give you like $5,000 for, maybe a down payment or your closing costs, right? That's what that essentially is. And so you could see March 25th, they essentially said, stop all of that. No more. Take it out of here. We don't need it. So what I'm anticipating that we're going to see more and more is more lenders not offer these sort of incentives as much, if any, right? And if they do offer it, what they'll probably do is reduce the amount because they're not getting any federal assistance in addition to what it is that they're already giving. So this is another thing, right? If anybody is banking on, you know, your lender giving you some sort of assistance, the down payment, right? Anything of that, if you want to double check that stuff because this stuff is coming from the top of all this stuff being removed. Call it an attack, but this is just really what it is, the reality of it. So understand what's going on in the climate, especially if you're in the space of being in real estate right now, because all this stuff is literally impacting you every single day a change is made. You literally can be impacted. And this is why a lot of people, when they get homes, or at least they go on a contract on a home, at least this is stories that I've heard, right? They go on a contract on a home and something happens in the midst of the entire process that now they don't have it, right? Because something changed and they weren't aware, or someone did not update them, or whatever the case may be. But here's another update I have for you. So the National Association of Realtors, they made a change. And am I a fan of it? Not really, because it kind of just made being a real estate agent a little bit harder to find inventory in a space where we need more inventory. So what they released is what they called what's the exact term that they said that it was? It's not here. They essentially released a new MLS policy. I forget. It's multiple listing options for sellers. There it is, right? So it's essentially something that's more favorable for the sellers, which is why I say I don't really like it. Because again, I work with a lot of buyers, and this is only going to make, I shouldn't say my job harder, because again, all you got to do is make more relationships and find the opportunities there, and just give everybody, the buyers, the opportunities, and then everybody's going to keep moving, right? It's just makes it a little bit difficult, because now, as a buyer, if you're looking without a real estate agent, or even haven't gotten in touch with one, chances are you're probably not going to see some opportunities that could really fulfill you, or at least could be your dream home. And the reason I say that is because of what this MLS policy that the NAR just kind of released, which is giving sellers more options. Here are two of them. I should go ahead and zoom in. Let's go over the top. Offer office exclusive exempt listing. So this has always been a case, but now they're essentially stating that if someone does if a seller says they want to go office exclusive and they don't want to put their home on the MLS, then their home is just not going to be on the MLS for whatever time frame that they all decide. Because generally speaking, what office exclusives typically were is everyone in that office and that brokerage can know about the listing. But if someone chooses office exclusive and they don't want to be on the MLS, then that's a, hey, you only know about that house off of word of mouth, literally, which only limits and constraints inventory even more. Now, if they decide they want office exclusive, but they want to put it on the MLS, this is where having a real estate agent that has access to the MLS, that actually looks at the MLS and analyzes it and helps you navigate it, is going to be helpful, because that's where it will be shared. It won't be shared. So it sounds like, honestly, I'll just sum it all up here. With that being put into place, your realtor.com, homes.com, Zillow, they're not that advantageous, especially if you're in a competitive market where homes are literally coming on the market and literally by the weekend they're gone, right? So that this stuff doesn't really help them, because you may not even see homes coming soon, and you can't necessarily be like, huh, do you want to live in that area, and go and check it out, and do you kind of check it out before you make an offer on it. Those times are slowly but surely coming to an end, right? And of course, you have the delay marketing, which is another option, which is kind of, I think I already just mentioned this one. I just combined it with the one on top, which is allowing the home to be listed on the MLS, but not be pushed out to your Zillow, homes.com, and realtor.com, if I didn't say that one already, right? But this is all something that's new, something that was just put out there. I want to make you aware of it, because I think now it's more important to have somebody, at least that's a real estate agent, that has MLS access, especially if this thing comes full flex and really starts to, really sellers start to utilize this a little bit more. And you're probably wondering, well, why would a seller not want to put their home on the MLS, especially if they want their home sold? Privacy reasons. That's the only thing I can literally give you. At least that's what I've experienced, right, in my professional career, is individuals just want that privacy, because once you put your home on the MLS, I mean, literally the entire world knows. So that's what I say. It doesn't make sense. It all depends on who the person is. One thing I could definitely say, it makes sense for those individuals who are high net worth, right? The celebrities, right? They're gonna love this. Because again, they don't want, again, the news, or at least paparazzi, to know literally where they live, especially if they haven't sold their home yet and they're still living there, or they still have their belongings there, right? You want to be real cautious of that stuff. So this is more of like a seller thing to enable a little bit more privacy for them. But it's in a place, in an environment where we have inventory that's already constrained and tight in a lot of different areas. In fact, shoot, did I update it? Because I wish I did. Where I can show you. Yep, I did. How lovely is that? We can actually see, what areas are still constrained with inventory. Right. So this is the March update. I can show you the other one. So let's do that there. Let's do that there. And let's take my face right off of it. Hopefully you guys can still hear me if I remove myself Let's do a mic check. Mic check. Are we still here? And we should be good then. Yeah, we're still good. So here's March of 2025. And then over here is this of February. So let's see what really changed. It looks like Idaho made it, right? Into in terms of that inventory space. So if you're in Idaho, start making your bargains, start making your deals. Utah actually went up as well. Colorado went up as well. Florida went up as well. Texas went up as well. Tennessee, Arizona, Washington, D.C. is already up there. Okay, so basically what I'm seeing here is just about every state went up. Which makes sense because we are in that spring market. We are in that spring market, so I but I wanted to share this because now, again, like I said, make your bargains, especially if you're in Idaho, Texas, Florida, Tennessee, Arizona, Utah, Colorado. Make your bargains. Don't settle. Look, I'm in North Carolina and I'm doing it. All right. So this is one of those things where I'm just giving you the real game here. If you need something specific, this is your chance and your opportunity to purchase and to get something like maybe your closing costs covered. All right. So let's just say, hey, maybe you have you can't really get your down payment. So down payment is always going to be really a thing. That's one thing you can't cover, unfortunately. You always essentially have to come out of pocket. Unless if you have like a VA loan, USDA loan that literally have 0% down payment, then you're not required at that point. But if you go FHA, you go conventional, really those are the only two other ones that you can really go to. Or maybe a local bank that has a really specific one, then they probably offer their own stuff, their own terms and criteria and whatnot. But most of the times you're gonna have a down payment. So given that you're gonna have a down payment, at least consider that. And that down payment is going to be, let's just say 3.5% on the low side, right? 3.5% of the purchase price of the home that you're looking at. So just do that math to kind of have yourself an idea, to give yourself an idea of if you were to purchase, what is exactly expected uh, from you immediately. Along with that, I'm back. I'm back. I'm back. Don't freak out. Anywho, if you have, if you know you have your down payment and now you have your closing costs, then this is your opportunity to maybe get your closing costs covered. How you're gonna do that? You look at the homes that are not less desirable, but the homes that many buyers aren't looking at or looking for. So I know sometimes it could be a hard thing to look at a home that's been on the market for 30 plus days because you're probably thinking, well, why in the heck does nobody want to buy this home, right? But look at it for yourself. Be selfish in that point in time. If you see a home that's been on the market for 30 plus days, ask yourself, is this a home I could live in? If it is, and you have no other concerns, then all right, what deal can we strike up with the seller? Because they clearly need to sell if their home is still listed. But at this point in time, I'm going to open it up for questions. If you do have any questions, this is the perfect opportunity before I go ahead and wrap up shop today. Honestly, go ahead and pose your questions, whether it's something that you're experiencing. Maybe it's something that you know someone experienced, or you're just concerned about the entire process in general, right? What questions you guys got for me? Let me know. Let me know. Let me know. Otherwise, I think we're gonna tap in next week with something brand new. Actually, I'm going to go ahead. I wonder if you guys can hear that. No, you can't. So while you guys start to figure out if you got questions for me, you hear that? I have a soundboard that my baby girl got me. Shout outs to her, and it works. Yeah. The general learner, you good? If you're still here, honestly, you've been the one that's been chopping it up with me a little bit. Everybody else seems like they're too shy today. All right, the clapping can stop now. That was long. Oh man. Okay, what else can I bring to you? There's okay. I'll actually go ahead and give you guys this since no one wants to go ahead and pick my brain, which is insane. All right, I do this on a regular basis. So there's stuff like this that's occurring. I haven't done it, but when I saw it, I was like, wow, this is actually pretty good. You guys all should know about this because right, this is stuff when you don't dig, when you don't ask the right questions, when you don't seek for assistance, you miss out on opportunities like this, right? The state forgives someone's 37,000 of student loan debt so the man can buy a home. How beautiful is that? I mean, I'm curious, right? Was he this is in Illinois, right? Rockford, Illinois. He had 37,000 worth of student loan debt, which I know a lot of first-time homebuyers have that. Hey, I was just in the matrix. Sorry. It looks like he used the Illinois Housing Development Authority. And of course, the program is designed to help first-time and repeat homebuyers. Did you know? Fun fact: you're a first-time homebuyer every 3 years, essentially. So let's say if you bought a home in 2025, you will be considered a first-time homebuyer again in 2028. Weirdest law that was made back in 2008 just to get people to get back into the market and buy homes. Well, maybe not exactly 2008, maybe a little bit after it, but yeah, and this is a gem, right? Every 3 years or so, you're a first time home buyer. As long as you didn't buy a home, sell a home, you didn't. As long as you didn't transact in anything, then you're good. And the reason why that's really helpful, only reason why that's really helpful is because you got to think about it. There's a lot of first time home buyer programs, and well, there's a lot of down payment assistance. There's a lot of assistant programs, right? But they require you to be a first time home buyer. So let's just say you want to take advantage of North Carolina's down payment assistance, right? You're a first time home buyer. You can literally get upwards of like $15,000 just to buy a home by being a first time home buyer, which occurs every 3 years. Insane to me, but this system is wicked, 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 wicked. All right, but I really wanted to find out what program did this guy. He used the Smart Buy program. So if you're in Illinois, and you trying to buy a home and you have student loans, then hey, look into this Smart Buy program. Personally, I'm not going to look into it because I'm not in Illinois. But one thing I would say about Illinois is their property taxes is crazy. Crazy. Crazy high. Let's actually pull back up that picture that I had. I want to be able to show you, or maybe we can just see property taxes in the United States map. Hopefully, this is up to date. Of course, it's 2021. We don't need that. That's old. I mean, we could probably use it, but all right, we'll use this just for the time being, and I'm not wasting you guys all time. But doo-doo-doo-doo-doo. Let's just give it a second. I want the map. I don't really care to show there. I don't want that map though. There we go. So if we take a look at this, I mean, we can give it to you. You can tell you real quick where are the low places and where are the expensive places. The places you don't want to be, essentially. Let's do this. So property taxes paid as a percentage of owner occupied. That is not the right statistic, my boy. Unfortunately, I don't have that for you right now. But there it is. Hopefully this one shows it. I'm determined to find it at this point. Um, See, this is exactly what we all of you guys can do. All right. Just literally look at my steps. Just follow exactly what I do. I just Google it. Oh man. All right. I don't have a pretty picture. I really wish I did just because it would be a little bit easier, but 16 counties with the highest median property tax payments all have bills exceeding 10,000, right? So if we look in California, and that's not surprising. New Jersey, New York, Virginia. Hmm, that's Virginia's in there. Interesting. So the places with the least is in Alabama, Alaska, Louisiana, South Dakota. Sounds like a lot of places that people don't move to. Except, yeah, Alabama maybe is up there. But there you have it. Since nobody has a question, we went over property taxes today to give you an idea of what the heck is going on in Florida. And in fact, if Florida is going to start trying to reduce it, then that means a lot of other places may follow suit. And if that's the case, then you might want to align yourself. I personally would not say don't make a move without really understanding that that state or city is actually going to follow suit, right? Wait till the confirmation and then really act on it. I mean, who knows how long that's going to be? If you're looking in Florida specifically, I would wait to see if that actually becomes a thing because if it does, that'd be amazing for Florida. And hopefully, a lot of other, like I mentioned, a lot of states do follow suit and provide that relief or do something because, again, this is something that's, a lot of people are getting, as the general learner mentioned, a lot of people getting wrecked, especially if you're a first time home buyer and you're looking at new construction and you didn't, do the proper due diligence to prepare yourself for it. But with all that being said, if you have any questions, please reach out to me via, just click the link in the description. If you have a question, you could click the link in the description. I think I have a place. If I don't have it there, it's definitely on my channel page. I'm sorry if I make you have to go find it, but if you really, 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 really want to get in touch with me because you're trying to purchase a home or you want to get into real estate, then this is what I would encourage you to do. I would encourage you to go to my website, or you could just click the link in the description where you see agent referral. or you can just come to this website and just press contact, right? You can either press contact or let's chat. And this way, you take care of this information here. This is going to help me understand exactly what to do, what you need help with, or at least where you're looking, and who to connect you to. I'll reach out to you, give you a call, and then from there, I'll make sure to connect you to the right person that could help you and assist you with what it is that you're looking for. But with all that being said, yeah, if you press contact, it brings you back here anyways. But with all that being said, see you guys here next week for another one. Maybe next week I'll actually show up on time. At least my time, right? That 7 p.m. slot that I put myself in. This week was a hectic one, so thank you for being here, showing up, and providing your time. But with all due, enjoy. Have a blessed week. Yeah, enjoy. Stay safe. Don't do anything I wouldn't do, which is probably very little. And yeah, peace out.